And welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. We're getting there. A little slower than I'd like. We're almost at 300,000 thanks to you. So hit the subscribe, watch the segment, comment. I want your comments and share with your friends because so much is going on. And in my last segment, I was talking about how crazy things have been just even over this past weekend. Well, it didn't stop. Because over the weekend, in a Truth Social post, where of course you know everything is accurate, Trump told Elon to get even more aggressive. And while I think that Elon's federal cuts so far have been incredibly aggressive, what I want to talk about is what the future may hold. Here's what Trump posted. Elon is doing a great job, but I would like to see him get more aggressive. Remember, we have a country to save, but ultimately to make greater than ever before. MAGA. Let me be very clear about something. All right. In the past 5 weeks since Donald Trump has taken the helm, the stock market has crashed. Seeing minus 800 points, minus 500 points. But what do? They go on to tell you things are great. Fuck it. Don't look at your 401k. Don't look at your stock portfolio. It doesn't matter what the number is. I'm telling you that it's great. You may have lost 15% to 12% so far of the total value, but don't worry. We're doing great, and Elon's going to get even more aggressive, right? I mean, again, don't trust your lying eyes. Trust this new administration. Now, I also first want to show you what Trump's Republican MAGA pundits have been saying, and then show you how Democrats are responding. For example, Pete Hegseth, DOD, was on Fox News speaking about the firings of top military lawyers. Play the clip.
For people who may not know, I mean, they give advice to the military about what is lawful and what isn't. Not surprisingly, there's been some backlash to those who are worried about their removal. One Georgetown law professor says this: Trump also firing the Army, Navy, and Air Force JAGs. In some ways, that's even more chilling than firing the 4 stars. It's what you do when you're planning to break the law. You get rid of any lawyers who might try to slow you down. Your response to her?
Yeah, I don't know who Rosa is and what her hyperbole is all about. Ultimately, we want lawyers who give sound constitutional advice and don't exist to attempt to be roadblocks to anything that happens in their spots. What we know about these TJAGs, they're called TJAGs inside the military. Traditionally, they've been elected by each other or chosen by each other, which is exactly how it works often with the chairman as well. Small group of insulated officers who perpetuate the status quo. Well, guess what? Status quo hasn't worked very well at the Pentagon. It's time for fresh blood. So we're going to open.
Okay, fresh blood is fine, but not fresh blood that is being brought in for the sole purpose. Unqualified individuals who are brought in order to figure out how to rubber stamp. You see, that's the basis of the judiciary, is to push back in order to test things to ensure their constitutionality so that you don't end up with a dictator on day number 1. This is the whole problem. Think about Supreme Court decisions, a 5-4 decision. Okay, yes, you may have one, but 4 dissenting opinions. All right, that's the whole purpose. He wants to get rid of them to make things easier. And then Republican Senator John Curtis compared the purge of the military to Trump's stopping the car. What he's referring to is like if your kids are misbehaving in the back seat, you knock it off, or I'm going to stop the car. We're going to stop the car. Play the clip.
The former chair of the Joint Chiefs, General Martin Dempsey, released a statement saying trust should be based on leadership, integrity, and performance. To relieve a senior officer, not for a lack of one of those qualities, but for a real or perceived disagreement in their beliefs, harmfully politicizes the military profession. Are you concerned that's what's happening here?
I think we have to stop and look what happened really last November. And one of my colleagues described it this way. It was a stop the car moment. Those of us who have had young kids and have been on family vacations know what a stop the car moment is. It's kids, you're so disruptive, we're stopping the car. And I think in many ways, the American people said, stop the car. We want dramatic change. We're unhappy with what's happening at the border. We're unhappy with the economy. We're unhappy with so many things. You keep promising that you're going to cut spending and you don't. Stop the car. And so people really shouldn't be surprised that this is a stop the car moment. We don't get to go to Disneyland until we figure.
Yeah. Again, keep smiling about it until ultimately, let's just say the JAG officers that were there that ultimately held, for example, waterboarding is unconstitutional. It's illegal. They say, well, not so much anymore if in fact it is deemed appropriate because you're not complying. I mean, just imagine the kind of damage that we're going to end up doing to our reputation. I mean, it's beyond. Then, of course, you have Senator Mark Wayne Mullen from Oklahoma, who was on NBC, and he was asked about his constituents being unhappy. Let me start by just turning around and saying nobody cares about the constituents anymore. It is all about passing the 2025, the Project 2025 agenda, plain and simple. Play the clip.
To the people in Oklahoma who've lost their jobs, who say they are hurting. They don't know how they're going to pay their mortgage. They don't know how they're going to make ends meet. Talk to those people. What's your message to them? They say enough of these cuts.
Well, I would tell you that the majority of the American people want to make sure that their taxpayers are being used correctly. I don't want anybody to lose their job. That's the last thing we want. But at the same time, anytime you're trying to secure this country, which a national security risk we have right now is our national debt, we have to make changes and we have to make it quickly. Unfortunately, when we have bureaucrats and politicians that have wastefully spent the American taxpayer dollars, and we don't have to look any further than USAID to see the wasteful billions of dollars that were spent, cuts had to take place. And every business owner understands this. Every business owner understands that you have to get your house in order before you can advance. That's exactly what Doge is doing. Think about this. Every successful business owner.
Yeah. Had he stopped and given her a chance to respond, she would turn around and say, first of all, it's not billions of dollars. All right. Second of all, even Elon himself, your new self-appointed shadow government operator, has acknowledged himself that there was not $50 million or $100 million, for example, spent on condoms sending it to Gaza. In fact, with the money that they were talking about, which was not even 50 million, which would amount to over 1 billion condoms at the price that the United States government pays per condom, which is less than a nickel. It was talking about Gaza province in Mozambique. I mean, that's the whole thing. Mistakes are being made, and everybody, though, is staying on the talking points. That's the whole problem here. So don't tell me that, oh yeah, every business owner knows. Not when that business owner is you and you've now lost your business. All right. You, sir, as a member of Congress, have not lost your job. So you don't really give a shit about anybody else. Let me tell you, you know who's going to remember that? Your fucking constituents in 2026. Yes. Now, let's turn to the Democrats, where you're going to hear the exact opposite. There is no middle line anymore. Hence why this show is important. We are a middle line. Senator Chris Van Hollen spoke about how there is nothing in the Constitution that gives Elon Musk the authority to make decisions or to make these cuts. Play the clip.
What we are witnessing are illegal actions by Elon Musk. And a number of courts, as you know, have issued temporary restraining orders on their efforts to seize important private information, but also on their overall conduct. So what the head of management, the State Department, said is Elon Musk doesn't have the authority to require State Department employees to answer these questions. That has to happen in the chain of command.
Even though the president says he wants him to be more aggressive.
So the reality is we don't know what the president meant, but as you pointed out, you've got Elon Musk taking a chainsaw to the federal government and important services. And there's no Article 4 in the Constitution that gives Elon Musk that authority. And the way that he's been sort of, quote, delegated this authority is illegal. And the actions he's taking are illegal, and we need to shut down this illegal operation.
Okay, first of all, also not accurate. Imagine, all right, Elon Musk has been appointed to do a job by the President of the United States in order to fulfill a campaign promise. Is it in the Constitution? No. Can the president bring in an outsider and turn around and give him the authority? Maybe Elon is acting in a way where it's not proper in terms of the chain of command. But can the president turn around and authorize somebody to go in and to review certain things? Absolutely, he can. It's a Democratic talking point, and the problem is it's not going to bring the country closer. It's not going to resolve these issues. Elon, on his own, correct, does not have the authority to do anything. But you know who does? The President of the United States. And if he appointed Elon or tasked him to do this job, that's what the courts are going to find. So playing to his base, and I'm talking about to Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland. Yeah, play to your base. And it does in part make sense, but you're missing the bigger picture. It's not unconstitutional. It's not illegal. And the fact that you don't know how Elon Musk was appointed to do this job doesn't mean that it wasn't actually done. Got to find that out. Now, Van Hollen also speaks about the difference between reality and rhetoric. Play that clip.
This is not just rhetoric. This is reality.
This is what you heard at Munich last week?
Yeah, well, and I think, European allies and others from around the world who believe in freedom and democracy, they're wondering whether this is just rhetoric or whether this is a real shift. My warning to them is I think this is reality. I think Trump is much closer ideologically to Putin and other autocrats around the world than he is to democratic countries.
An extraordinary statement.
Yeah, and that's why you need to continue to say these things. So in that way, come 2028, when we are now picking a new president, you pick one that is more aligned with the values of America and not just simply the values of Project 2025 to which Trump is aspiring. I mean, it's just that simple. But we're not going to predicate how America operates based upon foreign countries. It's the President of the United States that's setting this agenda. Whether you like it or not, I don't like it at all. But it's not our call. And it's not yours either, even though you're a senator. Then, of course, he had Representative Jasmine Crockett was on MSNBC, and she's speaking about a potential government shutdown. Yeah, it is a possibility. Play the clip.
But the leader is absolutely correct. And I hate the headlines that keep saying the Democrats may shut the government down. This isn't up to the Democrats, right? We're not the ones that are going to shut the government down. The question is if we will do everything to keep the government open. But right now they have a Trump trifecta. So when and if the government shuts down, it is going to be on Trump and his minions. It is not going to be on us as Democrats, because we weren't elected to gut Social Security, to gut Medicaid and Medicare, to gut USAID, to gut any of these programs that they're going after. That's not what we campaigned on. So that's not what we're going to do. We'll let them to do that by themselves.
I just don't understand why everything has to be gutted. How about look it over, make certain recommendations how to make it more efficient, how to get rid of the fraud, the waste, or the abuse, instead of just tearing it down. I mean, it's easy just to bulldoze something, but it's not so easy to refurb it or to rehab it. And lastly, Senator Cory Booker insisted that we need to speak about what is happening to Americans. Oh, wow. Knock me over with a feather. Play the clip.
Democrats just lost an election largely with a closing argument accusing Trump of being a threat to the democracy. Is that the most effective messaging right now?
I think the most effective messaging is talking about the crisis that's happening to Americans.
So they shouldn't be talking about a constitutional crisis.
I'm saying we should be talking about what's happening to Americans. I had one of the biggest hospital leaders in my state call me up and talk about the cancer research that's now in crisis, literally ruining years of research, literally having to take cancer treatments away from people, cutting edge breakthrough treatments. What's crazy is crisis when you have planes falling from the sky and you're cutting FAA folks. It is a crisis when nuclear regulatories who are keeping our safe, regulators, are being cut. I could go through this. I have farmers calling me up who put out tens of thousands of dollars on the understanding in the deal that they would get certain resources from the federal government, now threatening to lose their farms. Everywhere in America, red state to blue states, we are seeing real crises that Elon Musk, who's a billionaire who never has to think about where his next meal is coming from, where his medical treatment and how that will be paid for. Americans are feeling a crisis right now, and they're feeling pain that to them was unimaginable in a president they put their trust in that would lower their prices and make their lives more easily, not do things that make us so much less safe. Look, all this talk about USAID, I have visited people on the front line stopping infectious diseases from coming here. To have scientists in dangerous areas like Kampala suddenly not be able to get their access to their cell phone, their emails, and be cut off by a president and Elon Musk who are in a ham-handed, incompetent way cutting funding that makes no sense and ultimately won't make a difference on our deficit because the president wants to rack it up to give tax cuts to the wealthiest and create even bigger deficits in our country.
Let me ask you.
Yeah, and the problem is after listening to that, you say to yourself, what the hell did he just say? One singular message. Everybody go with it. 3 to 5 words. Drill it into people's heads. Drill, baby, drill. And as always, thanks for listening. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.